enough, with a slight embarrassment. "Any hurry?" the doctor asked over his shoulder as he went into his operating room. Mr. Kronborg coughed behind his hand and contracted his brows. His face threatened at every moment to break into a smile of foolish excitement. He controlled it only by calling upon his habitual pulpit manner. "Well, I think it would be as well to go immediately. Mrs. Kronborg will be more comfortable if you are there. She has been suffering for some time." The doctor came back and threw a black bag upon his desk. He wrote some instructions for his man on a prescription pad and then drew on his overcoat. "All ready," he announced, putting out his lamp. Mr. Kronborg rose, and they tramped through the empty hall and down the stairway to the street. The drugstore below was dark, and the saloon next door was just closing. Every other light on Main Street was out. On either side of the road and at the outer edge of the board sidewalk, the snow had been shoveled into breastworks. The town looked small and black, flattened down in the snow, muffled and all but extinguished. Overhead, the stars shone gloriously. It was impossible not to notice them. The air was so clear that the white sand hills to the east of Moonstone gleamed softly. Following the Reverend Mr. Kronborg along the narrow walk, past the little dark, sleeping houses, the doctor looked up at the flashing night and whistled softly. It did seem that people were stupider than they need be. As if on a night like this there ought to be something better to do than to sleep 9 hours, or to assist Mrs. Kronborg in functions which she could have performed so admirably unaided. He wished he had gone down to Denver to hear Faye Templeton sing Seesaw. Then he remembered that he had a personal interest in this family after all. They turned into another street and saw before them lighted windows. A low 1.5-story house, with a wing built on at the right and a kitchen addition at the back, everything a little on the slant, roofs, windows, and doors. As they approached the gate, Peter Kronborg's pace grew brisker. His nervous, ministerial cough annoyed the doctor. Exactly as if he were going to give out a text, he thought. He drew off his glove and felt in his vest pocket. "Have a trochee, Kronborg," he said, producing some. "Sent me for samples. Very good for a rough throat." "Ah, thank you. I was in something of a hurry. I neglected to put on my overshoes. Here we are, Doctor." Kronborg opened his front door, seemed delighted to be at home again. The front hall was dark and cold. The hat rack was hung with an astonishing number of children's hats and caps and cloaks. They were even piled on the table beneath the hat rack. Under the table was a heap of rubbers and overshoes. While the doctor hung up his coat and hat, Peter Kronborg opened the door into the living room. A glare of light greeted them, and a rush of hot, stale air, smelling of warming flannels. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Dr. Archie was in the parlor, putting on his cuffs and coat. There was no spare bedroom in that house. Peter Kronborg's 7th child, a boy, was being soothed and cosseted by his aunt. Mrs. Kronborg was asleep, and the doctor was going home. But he wanted first to speak to Kronborg, who, coatless and fluttery, was pouring coal into the kitchen stove. As the doctor crossed the dining room, he paused and listened. From one of the wing rooms, off to the left, he heard rapid, distressed breathing. He went to the kitchen door. "One of the children sick in there?" he asked, nodding toward the partition. Kronborg hung up the stove lifter and dusted his fingers. "It must be Thea. I meant to ask you to look at her. She has a croupy cold. But in my excitement, Mrs. Kronborg is doing finely, eh, Doctor? Not many of your patients with such a constitution, I expect." "Oh, yes, she's a fine mother." The doctor took up the lamp from the kitchen table and unceremoniously went into the wing room. 2 chubby little boys were asleep in a double bed, with the coverlids over their noses and their feet drawn up. In a single bed, next to theirs, lay a little girl of 11, wide awake, 2 yellow braids sticking up on the pillow behind her. Her face was scarlet, and her eyes were blazing. The doctor shut the door behind him. "Feel pretty sick, Thea?" he asked as he took out his thermometer. "Why didn't you call somebody?" She looked at him with greedy affection. "I thought you were here," she spoke between quick breaths. "There is a new baby, isn't there? Which?"